Happy Friday night, everybody. Happy cocktail night. Friday night, cocktail night. I am drinking water tonight. I feel like such a deadbeat, but I am really de-energized and overtired. God, I feel like if I have a nice drink, I am just going to fall apart or act like a complete boob. And I don't want to boob it up on a Friday. I want to have a nice Friday together because there's a great show ahead of us. I'm going to go as long as I can. Let's see how it goes. But so much to catch up on because the last 24 hours have been whirlwind and amazingly fun and inspiring. Let's see which buddies are here. Hang on. I really could use a wine. Let's see. Oh, see, I see those little cups, Robin, and I'm jealous. And I'm second thinking this whole strategy. Gayla, great to see you. Happy Friday. Happy Friday, everybody. I'm losing track of days. It's not daylight savings this weekend, right? We're not there yet, I don't think. Judy, great to see you. Happy Friday. Happy to finally be able to catch Cocktail Time Live. I'm so happy that you're there. It doesn't work all the time, does it? Busy lives and busy schedules. I'm at home, as you can see. I just wasn't feeling great today. COVID negative. But I wasn't feeling great. I feel like you have to say that these days, right? Even though I can't possibly get you germs this way. But yeah, just a little bit droopy on my end here. Could be this eternal rain still happening. I heard there's all kinds of crazy news in New York City about things shutting and people evacuating certain areas because the rain is so much. Whew, crazy, isn't it? April, great to see you. Happy cocktail night from Illinois. Catherine, let's hear it for Friday. Frida. I feel like we had a cheerleading. Oh, I feel like we had a cheerleading song back in the day. Oh, it'll come to me in the middle of the night for sure. I love that frothy stein that you've got going there. Linda, be great to see you. It's rainy there in New Jersey too, huh? That's a cute. Looks like the umbrella has a couple of little cat ears. That's really cute. Kaz, great to see you. Happy Friday night in Minnesota. You had a big thunderstorm this morning, but now it's nice. I'm so happy. I'm working on your mini punch thing. So don't think I forgot about that. I got a bit slow just from starting to see it ever since the pain in this whole episode, the health thing. I'm half aware at this point when I'm falling apart or when it's too much. It's weird because I've never had that hardwired before that I would feel like I was getting into a pain situation or an overwhelmed kind of busyness situation. I would just keep going, right? I would just keep going until the feeling passed or the thought passed, you know. Maybe that's just something that changes as you get older. You get a bit more contemplative or thoughtful about the stupid things that you're doing to your body, right? I don't know. Cheers, my dears in Pennsylvania. Priscilla, great to see you. Cheers, my dears. Happy Friday night. Linda H., it is rainy. You are in Massachusetts. I know you're not too far from me. It is rainy. But cheers, my dears. Happy Friday night. Robin, cheers in Wisconsin. I like your 3 red glasses. That is making me feel a bit second guessy. That looks really nice for a Friday. Hi, Robin. Cass says the storm might be coming your way. Yeah, it's traveling, isn't it? I'm hoping it's going to stop for tomorrow. Because tomorrow is Jocelyn's birthday. I'm hoping she's going to make an appearance in the show tonight since I am at home. Teddy as well. It's very exciting here because today is the last day in the world that Jocelyn is 9. She will be double digits when she wakes up tomorrow. So for whatever reason, and I don't know how this started, when it's her birthday at school, and since her birthday falls on Saturday, this year's a little bit different, she feels that she has to wear a hamburger hat. Yes. And she doesn't even eat hamburgers, so this is very strange. But this has been going on since I can remember. And it used to be that I used to have to fix the hamburger hat on somehow because it was like an adult hat. Now her head sort of fits in the hamburger. This is so strange. But because her birthday is tomorrow, there was a big push to find the hamburger hat today. Always unexpected, right? Who could ever plan for an early morning search for a hamburger hat, right? It's not there on the front burner for me. But I'm sure that she'll pop in and show you the hamburger. And today was Teddy's last day at his old school. And it was very sad and emotional, and the teachers were emotional. I was emotional picking him up. It was very sad because he is leaving his all autism program, but he is going to our neighborhood school, um, with the idea that he will be allowed to stay there, right, which he hasn't been before. But they have done a great job getting at the school he's been at, getting him to the point where he can at least try. It can be that he wouldn't be a failure, but it could be that it doesn't work and he goes back, and that's the way it is. But they have done so well with him, those two teachers that are over there, that at least he can try doing this in the regular school. And I found out right before the show that the teacher that he's having is the teacher that his friend Gus, who's one of my good girlfriend Kim, I talk about her a lot. She's a puppeteer. Her son Gus is also a spectrum boy, and he is in the general ed class, and he always has been. And he's one of Teddy's friends in the neighborhood, so they will be in class together, and there will be a friendly face there. So I'm sure he will pop in at the worst possible moment tonight while we're looking at our rugs and going through the fair slides, but we'll see. We can expect those two characters to come in behind me at the worst possible moment. The Black Moggy Stitcher, happy Friday. Great to see you. Welcome. And Kara, great to see you. Happy Friday in Illinois. Jay, November 5th is daylight savings. Jay is not feeling well either. It's just that time of year, isn't it? And since it's so warm as well, it's that germ thing, isn't it? The sort of unseasonable high temp. It's lots of rain, lots of busyness, school, and all this, and all the germs roaming around and circulating. Oh, God. Joyce, great to see you in the Poconos. I love the Poconos. I haven't been out there forever. Joyce, are you going to go to the, sorry, are you going to go to the Fiber Festival in Rhinebeck? Is that anywhere near the Poconos? I know the Poconos from my tour guiding days, but I don't have the geography of New York in my head, and I'm still thinking about making the trip out there. One of the days that's happening. Joe the Flower Guy, great to see you. Hello in Pugwash, Nova Scotia, Village of Peace. That sounds amazing. That sounds absolutely lovely. And Cindy, hello. Cindy, you sent me a great message. I don't think I responded. So sorry, I will respond. You'll soon know why I was missing in action all day yesterday, the entire day. Kaz, I can't wait to get the little mini punch kit, but don't work too hard if you're paid. I'm a lot better. I'm transitioning to just stupid winter cold stuff, I hope. Kathy, great to see you. Good evening at the rainy. Oh no, I bet that Deerfield Fair. That's what the content of our show is about tonight. Oh, it was a great day yesterday. Thank you for a great day yesterday. Oh, I hope it wasn't so rainy that it was like a washout, for lack of a better word. What a beautiful fair. This is what we're going to talk about in the episode today. It was absolutely incredible. Completely exceeded my expectation, my thought about what a sort of country fair was like. You'll see exactly what I mean. Brenda, great to see you. I'm looking forward as well. Thank you, Linda. Happy birthday to Joss. We're going to go to Providence tomorrow to Water Fire, that beautiful event they do, lighting fires on the surface of the Providence River and blasting music, and there's food trucks and all kinds of fun stuff. And she loves that. It's very atmospheric and mysterious. She really loves that. So, fingers crossed it doesn't rain tomorrow night. It's not supposed to. She should have a great birthday. Joy, great to see you. Hello, y'all, from Port Charlotte, Florida. Great to see you. And my buddy Ryan, you are there. Happy Friday night from North Texas, drinking bee's knees and finally putting myself out there, putting my designs on Etsy. Good for you. Good for you. I'm so happy to hear that. I hope that you'll post a link to that in the Ribbon Candy Hooking Store. So when we come up to Monday and it's Madcap Monday, just post a link to your store if you like. Because I would love to see it there. I would love to see it there. Your designs are just fabulous. That makes me really happy. Good for you. Good job. Cass says, please post photos of Jocelyn with the hamburger hat. I will. She's probably going to have the hamburger hat, but she's going to be like a disembodied hamburger over my shoulder when she comes in. She's been scaring me all the time, like on purpose, scaring me all the time. So I see a lot of hamburger scares tonight when I'm like 90% asleep. She'll be here, I'm sure. Cat's Gallery, great to see you. Cheers, my dears. Happy Friday. Linda B says, here's hoping Teddy's new school is just right for him. God, I hope so. It is second guesses at the last minute, I hope he gets all the he won't get as much love as he got at this last school, that's for sure, being in a special program. But I hope that his crazy, wacky, and inappropriate personality continues to be allowed to grow in a setting that's a little bit more traditional. Challenging, more appropriate for life, but definitely not as much leeway. We'll see how that goes. Karen, great to see you. Good evening in Black Forest, Colorado. Melissa, you are there. Cheers, my dears. Great to see you. Just put a little note into your order. So that'll be there. You'll be like, what's this little thing? It's a personal note from her. Judy, Friday again. I can't believe it, right? And Judy says, Ryan, can we search for your name at Etsy, or do you have a shop name? That's a great thing. Why don't you post it on here so we can look at it and enjoy it over the weekend? You get a lot of visits to the shop right out of the gate. Won't that be great? Encouraging. Oh, Kathy, do the kids like their candy? Well, I mean, I got home at like 11:30 at night, which was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. It's yesterday. So I'm going to start the episode here, and I'll keep an eye on which buddies appear in our thread here. So it was a long day because the New Hampshire Fair is about maybe 3 hours 15 minutes from here, but I left super early, about 6:15, because I didn't know what the traffic would be like, and I have to say, very surprised that there was so much traffic in so early in the morning. Not where you would expect it, around New Haven and Hartford, but like in New Hampshire, like crossing over from Massachusetts to New Hampshire, lots of construction and stuff like that. So I was getting super stressed that I felt getting late, and it was Jay came with me for the ride. I am just at a place at this point where I just cannot make long rides by myself. It makes me too nervous for some reason, because I feel like superstitious. Like if I'm out there driving hours away from home by myself, I mean, I'm fine. Obviously, there's nothing wrong with me, but if something happened with the car and I didn't have service on my phone, or my phone wasn't charging and I didn't know it wasn't charging, do you think these things too, or is it just me thinking like a maniac, right? Like worst case scenario maniac. This is the way my brain works the older I get. And yeah, it makes me nervous for some reason. Stupid, isn't it? I gotta get over myself. Put my big girl pants on. But oh God, it was incredible when we got there, because it's a country fair, right? And I was thinking, little country fair. Oh my God, this field was like, it was like it was like Simon and Garfunkel, at Central Park, the album cover. It was crazy. It was full. In the distance, rides, people as far as the eye could see, little buildings like little mushrooms popping up, a field of cars like I've never seen. Like 100 auto dealerships in one place. It was unbelievable. And so we got in there, and God, there was such crazy food. Because I'm not a fair person. I don't have a lot of experience with fairs. And when I judge the biggie, which I do every year, I go before it's open. So this whole idea of fair food, because I lived abroad for so long, completely unfamiliar. There was like, I got an elephant's ear, which is like a giant piece of fried dough, smeared with maple frosting. Like there were some crazy burgers like on waffles and things. Didn't get that, but there was so much of everything. There was so much of everything to buy. There was so much of everything to eat. Good thing I had a dress on, because I was really pushing it, stuffing my face. I got one of those bloomin' onions, right? That's what I had like for breakfast, was a bloomin' onion. Crazy. Those giant. Oh my God, it was so good. And then like for lunch, I had that elephant's ear with maple. Yeah, I'm supposed to be on a diet, but obviously this was not. It was not the day for it. So so much fun. And Kathy called and told me where the building was, where the rugs were and the crafts. And Kathy, what was the whole building called? Just in case people go over the weekend, which I hope you do. Oh, Ryan answered, I'll be designing shirts, possibly hand-dyed wool, fantastic, and hopefully rug designs. I hope rug designs too. I really do. I think that would be so good for you, so good for everyone. So yeah, and they had some other neat things. I brought home for the kids. I brought home. This is the thing. If you've got kids or grandkids, right? You probably already know about this. I don't want not dehydrated, freeze dried candy, right? I tried this over the summer. I accidentally got a dehydrator for Joss, right? And she tried it with the candy. It didn't make any difference. What she wanted was a freeze dryer, which is way more expensive. But apparently people are investing in these freeze dryer things because you can freeze dry things besides candy. But this stall was freeze drying candy like Skittles, the Halloween candy, like the fingers, with the crazy fingernail, colorful candy corn, Peeps, things like that, freeze drying them. And the only, I don't really read the ingredients because I'm such a bad pig and that needs to change. But the only ingredients were like sugar and sugar. So yeah, that's its own problem. But it wasn't like there was like other garbage in there that I didn't know what it was. It was just sugar candy and it was all dehydrated. So it was puffed up and a bit like deformed because it was oversized and puffed. Oh my God, I got home at 11:30 and I stupidly, they were like half asleep, only half. And I brought the candy in and they went bonkers. It was the wrong thing to do at that time. They had both brushed their teeth and they're like just shoveling candy into, and the Laffy Taffy, the long strips, dehydrated, looking like almost like a piece of bacon, like puffy but rainbow colored. So much fun. And I got myself like some fudge, like orange brandy or orange bourbon and mango ghost pepper, something like that. God, it's so good. It's so good. These fairs are so much fun. I hope that you're going to visit your local fair. I hope that you put your rugs into your local fair. It really, we need to push this more next year. It was absolutely amazing to find Kathy in the Arts and Crafts building and to see so many rugs there. Because at the Big E, there was maybe 8 or 9 rugs, right? Very, very small. Because I think the guild, right, the New Hampshire Woolen Magic Guild is, I don't want to say associated, Kathy, that's not the right word, right? Or maybe it is the right word. Because there's a guild that submits rugs, there was a huge amount of rugs to look at. And we're only going to scratch the surface of the rugs in tonight's episode. But what a lot of fun. And what a great opportunity to both put yourself out there, right, Ryan? And also show the craft. Because in the building, there were a whole bunch of different crafts, right? I was most interested in the rugs, but there were also braided rugs. There was quilting. There was a woman who was doing lace making. There was needlepoint. There was applique, photography. There were lots of different things. And there were people who were demonstrating the different things. And it was really, really interesting and important because people do stop and they do want to know what you're doing, and what's this, what's that, how's that, how expensive is that, how long did that take, where'd you get that frame. All that stuff is good information to be able to impart, and you're in a position to be able to impart it. So it's good to put yourself out there. People will not ask you questions that you don't know the answers to, I promise. You're going to know the answers to their questions. What are you doing? Oh, I'm pulling up loops. It looks like this, right? It's worth it. It's worth putting yourself out there and getting the craft out there. And Judy says sugar and food coloring, which may be worse than sugar, honestly. True. Let's save that for dyeing wool. That's true. That's true. And Kathy says, at the chapter, White Mountains Woolen Magic. So an incredible turnout, like incredible amount of rugs. I was completely blown away. So let's start looking at some of them because I took lots of pictures. And we will definitely not get to them tonight, but I want to look at all of the pictures that I took. And then in future episodes, I want to look at the braided rugs. I want to look a little bit at the needlepoint and the quilting. I want to look at the lace maker too, because she was sitting there. Have you ever seen somebody making lace with all of these little wooden bobbins that look something like a wooden hook, right? But they're turned, all different colors of wood. Like she had a couple that were lilac and others that were dark like mahogany. And some of them had insets or bands on them in brass or pewter or whatever. Some of them were inscribed with her children's names. One of them had a little lighthouse because like a summer vacations. Like each one was different. She must have had, honestly, 50 bobbins laid out like a fan on her work surface. And I said to her, it reminds me of a charm bracelet because she knew when she made whatever you call it, major move. Like it sounds like she's playing chess, but when you make your move and you move whichever number of bobbins are supposed to be moved at that time. Obviously, I don't know how to do this, right? I was watching. It's very complicated. It reminded me of a player piano where like you look and there's the dots and you're supposed to play this next or move this. And then here's more dots and you're supposed to do this here. And I can see how it was. Yeah, Jay says it was absolutely, no, not tatting. It was bobbin lace. It was bobbin lace and all of these things. I have a picture for a future episode. I didn't load it for tonight, but it was totally amazing that her equipment was it was so much. And it reminded me of a charm bracelet because almost every bobbin had special significance for her and reminded her of a child or a friend or a vacation or a place or a food or a pet. And it was just it was so neat. So I got a lot of information on a lot of different subjects, but let's get started with our main subject. It is Friday night after all, isn't it? I'm going to come right back to you. Let me just come to the beginning of. Okay, so I was sitting outside at the beginning. As soon as I got there, Kathy said, "You've got to come and sit with Carol." I think this is Carol, because she was using, we've been talking about this nonstop. I almost said nano, but I think it's the EEW, right? I want to say eel, but it's EEW, isn't it? The spinner from Dreaming Robots. Is that the name? I think that's the name of the company. But holy mackerel, I sat with her for a while and I watched her using roving. She was showing me the roving, and I'll come back to this slide. This is the roving here. I'm holding it in my hand. You see, there were other spinners there with traditional like standing wheels and other machine. There's all manner of machine for spinning, right? These ones from Dreaming Robots are 3D printed, right? But they obviously have the motor and they have all the metal parts that make them work. And they are much lighter weight, and they are at about between 100, maybe say 175, something like that. The EEL spinner. I thought it was EEW. Initially I thought it was eel, but on the website it seems like it said EEW. I might be being a ding dong. So there's all manner of spinner. There were some other spinners that had a motor available that were like at 1,000. These are like in the high 100s to 280, depending on the size that you get. So she had the EE, either L or W, not the nano, because she explained to me that the nano, as a spinner, if you're interested in using either roving or bat to make your own yarn, this is a great thing to have. It came with a plug. You can get it on a battery, right? And then the battery would come separately, but then you don't have to plug it in. For me, I'm thinking I would always plug it in. But the whole thing, other than the metal parts, is 3D printed. And apparently there's a variety of colors you could get. I don't know at certain times which colors. And it comes with quite a few of these bobbins, which are these giant EEW 6.0. Thank you. Yeah, because I looked it up today, but I feel like there was a past one called the Eel, because I feel like when Juliet showed me, that one was called the Eel. So maybe there's different models at different times. I feel like if you're interested, you got to jump on it thing, because it seems like I'm getting the impression from my very small survey online that there's one person making these. And these are beauties. He's really onto something. Karen says, saw the nano being demonstrated in our local fiber show. Oh no, the heart is over. The rest of the comment, hold on, let me see. That you just went to. Okay, excellent. And Judy says, yeah, they are different models. And then Carol was showing me the bobbins. This might have been one that came with the machine, but you see that pretty green one was like holographic green and blue. And that was a special one that she had ordered from that store on Etsy. What is it? Spinning Sirens? Was that it? Something like that. But really fun. I was talking to her for a long, long time. And of course, by sitting and watching someone doing it, I'm not learning it, but I am getting a feel for what her hands are doing, because I was there for quite a while. And you see that thing that looks like a remote control to the right of her machine, like from her point of view? It's the start-stop. So it's like a presser foot, but the presser foot is not on the ground. So if someone walks up to you like they're going to talk to you, you could just hit the thing and it would stop. It was such a cool thing. It was a great opportunity to check out the machine again, now that I'm becoming more interested. And I was very interested in the other types of spinners too, but this one is at a good price point for me. I love that it's 3D printed. I love that it has possible accessories that can go with it for different times of the year. Seems like a lot of fun. And she's saying, you could do both. Dreaming Robots, thank you. You could do both. You could mix like the roving and the bat. You could do any number of combos. She was explaining to me for those of you who hook or punch with yarn or who spin or weave, and this is interesting, this is, I mean, for me, all of this was interesting. It was just so much. Because I have not done weaving since I was like in college, right? I took Scandinavian weaving when I was in college. I was like, how old are you in college? Like 18 or something? Um, so that was a long time ago. But yeah, she was saying like, some of the yarn that she spins, because she's a knitter. That's what she does with her yarn. And she said some of it is like so it's like such a light weight, like such, it remains a tiny yarn, but it has 3, 4, 5, 10 ply. So she spun it so fine, and then she's twisted them together or folded them together, so they what's the word, they untwist themselves. That is not the word. What's the word where you have balance? They balance themselves. That's it. So she was explaining to me how ply and how twisting works, and it was super interesting. My book came about drop spindling, so I'm gonna play with that maybe first. I'm gonna see how that goes with my hands, because Kirsten said that she's tried drop spindling, but she's got problems with her hands too, and she finds it excruciating. So I'll see how that is for me, and I'll give you some feedback, and I'm definitely going to order one of those little guys. But I was thinking I might order the Nano for myself for now, because for us as rug hookers, right, we don't need the same quantity of yarn on a spool that you would if you were a knitter about to knit a sweater, right? That would be like a big spool. The kind of, when you're knitting a sweater, if you've done this, it's a lot of skeins that you would pick up, isn't it? Because you're looking at your pattern or you're guesstimating, and you're going to need X amount of yardage equals skeins, and it's always a lot, and it's always expensive. So the thing about the larger machine, the EEL machine or EEW machine, is that the spool is larger. The machine is larger, so the spool is larger, so the spool can hold more. So hence, you could spin more and then have it available for your knitting project. Whereas for me as a rug hooker, yeah, sometimes I hook like a background with yarn, and maybe I'm going to use, I don't know, close to 200 yards, but I'm not going to use 1,000 yards or 800 yards or anything like that. And the spool is big. So I'm thinking for me, at least getting started, I might get the smaller one first just to fool with it and see how it goes. I don't know. I don't know. But I asked her how you get the yarn off the cool 3D printed spindle once you're done, like once you're done with it, because you don't have to fill it, right? You just do as much as you want. And she said, I was wondering if it was kind of like you took the things off and it was like, and it's in your hand like a cake. And she said, no, you have to like off spin it, right? You have to, and I said, oh, like with a Swift or with a winder or something. And she's like, yeah, something like that. With a shoebox, there's lots of ways that you could just wind up into a ball, but you do have to off wind it then. So that's another step. Not that that's going to stop anybody, right? That's what great TV shows are for, is to sit there and go like this with your hands. So super fun, great conversation. Kathy, thanks for bringing me out there, because, oops, wrong window, because I learned, that's something I want to do with you another time. Questing for sweaters and why some are good, why some are bad. This is super fun. Then I went right inside the door, and right there, featured artist Lynda Hadlock. And absolutely, wait until, this is where we're going to spend most of our time tonight. Absolutely astonishing body of work. Interesting, lots of great storytelling, lots of stories within the compositions. Sorry for the coughing. I'm being so gross tonight. So this was very exciting. Let me just grab some water. Hang on. This was really exciting. So bio and everything is there. This is Lynda's area right here, and she was sitting there. You can see how beautiful it was outside yesterday. It was absolutely perfect fair weather day. Fair weather day. Beautiful pieces, very different, very diverse in subject, in style, in cut, in composition, in technique. Everything is a great variety, great sort of breadth of great diversity of interests, subjects, color palettes. It's looking at this wall. It's like, oh, one person did all of these. Yes, and that's a great thing, because you're really stretching yourself when your work is very sort of diverse, right? If you like, it's got to be, because that's how you want it, isn't it? So this was a great, I'm going to show you pictures too, I think, that feature the way that the building looked. It's a long, sort of skinny building, and it's roped off so people can't just walk up and, just start licking the thing. Who would do that? Well, somebody would. Somebody would. But hopefully not. Hopefully not New Hampshire. But it's perfectly arranged in such a way that the people who are doing demonstrations and who are there to talk can sit behind the rope and get a little bit of space, concentrate a little bit on what they're doing, but still be present mentally and physically for people who come by and want to chat or ask questions. So really perfect setup. Very, very different. And I only say different because after, and I won't get to this tonight, but after I left the fair in New Hampshire, I did like a bit of a triangle, and I drove to Springfield, Massachusetts, because I wanted to drop off books. Like, it sounds like I'm an egomaniac, but my first book, on all the different forms of rug making, I thought, let me drop one off for each of the people who entered the Big E, because there was only 8 or 9, right? And it was, in some people, one lady entered 3, right? So I think 4 people in total actually entered work. So I wanted to drop a book off for each one that was signed that said, like, thank you so much for participating in the Big E, because there's not really prizes with it. There's not really premiums and money promotions or gifts or stuff like that. It's like, thank you. So I thought, all right, I just wanted to swing back there before the fair was over, which is this weekend. And we're going in the other direction for Jassie's birthday. So it was like my last chance to drop stuff off. So in that one day, I saw both the Deerfield Fair in New Hampshire, and we got to the Big E at about 8 something and stayed until closing at 10. Whew. So it was like, whoa, what a day. But the Big E was very, very different. Granted, it was at night. But when you see, probably on Monday or Wednesday, the photos I took of the fair, the Big E fair, it was very, very different. Apples and oranges, right? Very different setup. There was nobody who was demonstrating. Which I think is a shame. I'm going to talk to Paige, who's in charge of the arts and crafts and the rug division there, and see what we can do for next year. As far not at 10 o'clock at night. Obviously, the only people who were there were either drunk or wanted cream puffs. Right? It was like one or the other. There was nothing normal was happening. So it wasn't an ideal time to go. I mean, it was lively and everything if I was 18 again, but 51. So it was very, very different. We'll do some comparison when we look at that show. I just love the way that this was set up here. This is a great piece. This is like, gosh, Lynda, I wonder, Lynda, I think Lynda's on. I'm trying, is this like the Colosseum? Shame on me, the like Parthenon or Pantheon or Colosseum or one of these, right? It is like a very theatrical mask. It's very Greek, at least, strong Greek architecture, but it's probably one of those, the Colossus. What could this be? You all are better than me at this, right? I have never been to Greece, but it certainly looks like a Ionic columns, right? The Doric, what are they now? Come on, remember from history, Doric, something, and Corinthian. Doric, Ionic, and Corinthian, right? Isn't that it? I think this is Corinthian with all of that busyness at the top of the column. Do you see how, let me stretch this a little bit. It's a mask as well. Now, isn't that incredibly? Acropolis. Oh, that's a good one, Kaz. Pantheon. I'm gonna say I bet you one of those is right. That makes a lot of sense. It's something like that, isn't it? But I mean, I love that it's a mask. It's very, very theatrical. I'm going to stretch it out a little bit so we can see it a little bit better. Very, very theatrical. And I think it could be Ionic. It probably is Ionic. You're right, Karen. Because Doric is just plain. And then Ionic is middle. And Corinthian, I think, is when all the leaves are on it. So this has got to be either Ionic or Corinthian. But you can see how Lynda hooked the top of it and the bottoms on the right and the left much higher, right? Gives it a lot of bling. And you see how it's not just that ivory sort of alabaster marble color, that yellowed marble color, also gray, as you would find in marble. And alabaster is probably all marble. But really beautiful color choice. Beautiful, beautiful color choice. Great detailed braid. Do you see right above, right under the pediment, but right above the columns? Really, really beautiful. This reminds me, I'm going to bring it down just a little bit. It has scrolls. Okay. So Ionic it is. It is such a pretty piece. Hold on one second. I'm dragging. This reminds me of I'll never forget this conversation. This was in theater school years ago. We were talking about Greek drama, and the professor made the point that if you are probably more up on Greek drama than I am. I studied it at that moment, and I never came back to it. It wasn't my particular area of great interest, but it was an interesting sort of general conversation. And the professor made the point that in Greek drama, in literature, the woman is always the interior person, and the man is always the exterior person, meaning the woman, oh, Pamela, great to see you. The woman is always inside the house, and there's something suspicious about that. There's something negative about that. There's something dark about that. That's not my sort of layering of understanding. That is the way that it's written. And the man is always very stereotypical, but we're talking about like the Greek culture, right? So we're not talking about yesterday. The man is always out there in the sun, exposed, sort of transparent, doing his work. And the woman is in the house where nobody can see. And there's a lot of suspicion associated with being a woman in that culture. And I always think about that when I think about Greek theater. And it's not necessarily a negative twist. It's just the way that it was done and the way that it was seen. If you think about great Greek dramas that feature sort of barbarous women and women who murder their own children, for example, a lot of the leading characters in Greek drama are women, and they're also villains. And it does feed into this whole idea of like, in that culture at that time, there was something dark and suspicious about being inside. Now, if that is the case, I think we're all in trouble, because I am an indoor cat through and through. Not a lot of things can get me outside, I'll tell you. I love being inside where all my crafts are, that's for sure. Parthenon is the temple in the Citadel Acropolis in Athens. Okay, so I'm still not sure. I know that you all know, and you're probably screaming at your screen. So I'm going to move on, but I really love it. And I wish I would have asked Lynda why she made it into a mask, or if it is kind of an homage to Greek theater. Because she has another rug, I think, that is another hat tip to Greece. So let's see that. Pamela says, mysterious women. We know a lot. I am totally an indoor person. Oh, speaking of, oh. Hamburger helper, helper, hamburger helper, makes a great meal. Here, get in here so they can see. Wait a minute. You shut that robe if you have no shirt on. Shut. I told you that the hamburger head was coming for us. Happy last day being 9 years old. Don't knock me down. I'll get so angry on camera. Cover up all your little junk and say hello. Hello. One more day at being 9, and tomorrow she hits the double digits. Ooh, that is so jaunty. Isn't that jaunty? Keep yourself covered up. I'm not kidding. Okay. Hamburger helper. Hamburger helper. Okay. I told you. Happy birthday, Jess. All right, so we'll wait for the other crazy loon to come in and descend. That's just a beautiful piece, Lynda. I absolutely love it. I'll pass on all your birthday wishes. She's witches. Was that Freudian or what? She's on a tear tonight. This is another beautiful piece. I'll stretch this out for you as well. I think this says nevertheless she persisted. I just love, let's look at this and talk about this a little bit. Let me stretch it a little bit so that we can see this better. This is all Lynda's work, featured artist, right? So cool. So text, let's talk about the text first. The text is fantastic. The color is fantastic. It is a bit of a wild woman in a kind of, and then there's Maud dressed with sunflowers and maybe a little bit of Under the Tuscan Sun, right? Little B. Arthur, a little Under the Tuscan Sun. It's a great combo. It's a great garment. It has a great fall feel. I love the cranberry wine color of the border against the blue. I love the hooking that kind of mimics the shape of her body and the swerve of the scarf. I'll pass on all your birthday wishes. I promise. She loves to get the attention. I love the shape of her hair. I really love the shape of her hair. You know, this is the kind of character that I love to see. The hand is a little on the small side. She's not exactly anatomically perfect, and that's why I love her, because she's stylized. To me, when you do a character, it's hard. You have to make hard choices. How anonymous do I want the face? How realistic do I want the face? For me, this is perfect. There's the shadows are where they should be. It is anonymous enough. It's very peaceful to look at, but it still keeps you alert, right? It is full of motion and energy, this piece. She's almost dancing or pausing or swaying. It's absolutely beautiful. There's a little shadow under her chin and on the side of her neck going over to her right shoulder, the way that we're looking at her. It has great motion, doesn't it? It's just a slight movement that she's doing, but it's great motion. I love the text. Isn't it great when the text really has a style, like it's a font? You know, when you're in a Word document, you drop down the choices and you're like, oh God, there's so many choices. And it's hard to pick the right one. Well, Lynda definitely picked the right one. I think this font is fantastic. And I love how it's the same kind of kind of a pea green like the dress. Little limey and bright, but also has a bit of a pea quality, right? And it goes so well against that cranberry color. Really well. And the hair as well isn't solid black. There's bits of gray. It's just a great, great piece. Let me scroll down a little bit. You can see there's fringe coming off the scarf, and that looks like the wool strips just cut very high, right? So that's a great use of simple proddy, allowing the strips to just hang down as long tails. It gives us a three-dimensional flavor to the piece. It really adds a lot of bling. I love how the patterning on the dress, I love how her body is shapely, right? She's shapely. This is not Twiggy, right? This is not 1960s London. This is a normal person. I love the shape of her body, and I love how the sunflowers are not perfectly or evenly patterned, right? Because sometimes when something is a flat pattern, for me, where it's like measured to perfection, it's less interesting than when it feels organic, as this does. I just absolutely love this piece. Love this piece. Such fun. And here I am with Lynda. I can't believe this was yesterday. Oh, Deborah, you had a hamburger hat too. You bought it in Las Vegas on Margaritaville. I think we got ours at Goodwill. I wonder if it originally came from there too. Wouldn't that be funny? You didn't donate it to Goodwill, did you? I gotta have some drinks here. Just some water. So yeah, it was great spending time with Kathy and Lynda and all of the buddies who were there. I have to say, I just love the girls in this guild. This is a super friendly guild. This is one of these great, approachable, fun guilds where you can be silly and cut loose a little bit and have a good time. And it's easy to relate, right? It just felt very, very comfortable being around all the ladies in this guild. I just really, really enjoyed meeting people in person. Kathy, I felt like I'd known you forever when we met. It's just so nice to feel like that, isn't it? Thank you, Melissa. I got that at a store near my mom. I'm very happy with that handbag. It has a matching wallet inside. It was not expensive. Joy Susan. That's the name of the brand, Joy Susan. It's not a super expensive brand, but man, they had a lot of great colors, I'll tell you. I had to pick up those leggings at Goodwill in the morning. We were driving through Savers, not Goodwill, Savers, because I was freezing. And then it got so hot, probably because of the bloomin' onion and all the other stuff I was eating. It was starting to be like, uh-oh, sun coming out and eating that crazy food, you know, and then I got hot when the pendulum swang. But man, it was so much fun. So much fun to be there, so much fun to arrive. Did I put that in twice? How did I do that? I put that in twice. Sorry about that. I was probably trying to get it into the thumbnail because it was the thumbnail of our show tonight as well. Another one of Lynda's pieces. This is so beautiful. It's almost like a study in stone, very monochromatic. And I'm taking it from the side because it's on the wall. So the fact that I'm taking it from the side means for some reason I couldn't get in front of it. There might have been something like a frame or something near it. And I'm taking it at an angle, so you know that it's at an angle. It's not that it's shaped as like a trapezoid or anything like that. Beautiful piece, very, very high difficulty level. Very tweedy, right? Very tweedy materials, patterned wools in the background, browns, and then like a lighter, more like vanilla and black color, alternating like stone, right? Like stone or cobble, maybe bricks, right? With this oversized leaf on the ground and the leaf beautifully articulated in a sort of hit or miss monochromatic brown palette. Absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. Little pops of kind of a more red, russety copper color. Really stunning. It does look like looking at a leaf, like a large, when you go to places that are like around the Mediterranean, you see these giant leaves on the ground, like tropical palm type leaves. They're giant. This is what this looks like to me, is looking down at the road with this beautiful leaf there. But I thought it looks like a tree, like tree bark. It could be tree bark. You could absolutely be right, Melanie. It could absolutely be tree bark. And that makes sense too. Sorry, that makes sense too. I just love this piece. You're probably right. It probably is tree bark because that dark, more red color underneath probably looks. It probably is like the tree, like the more wick living part of the tree, under the pieces of bark. Yeah. Oh, it's so good, isn't it? Oh, I thought it was fungus growing on the tree bark. Ooh, interesting, Pamela. It could be. Isn't it great? Isn't it great how it looks different to all of us? Gosh. I mean, it's so great to have conversations like this because it looks like all three things, doesn't it? It really does. It's absolutely stunning. I'm going to go to the next slide, and I was going to mute myself so I could blow my nose. Maybe I won't. I'm going to mute myself for just a second so I'm not being extra. Nope, I'm not going to do it. I forgot how to mute myself. So, nope, I forgot. I'm gonna push on. It's fine. It's fine. Oh, now this is a project and a half. Gosh, I wonder if we should do this now or hold. Let's do it now because I have the slides in place. Lynda showed me the project that she was currently working on at the fair while we were all hanging out sitting there. Hold on just a second. Just wondering if I can't. I'm such a baby. I'm being such a baby. I'm terribly sorry. Just wondering if I can mute myself if I blow my nose. Because remember I did it before. It was so easy. And now I just don't see how to do it. But it's probably because it's updated 20 times since then. Gosh, I'm such an idiot. I'm going to try something, right? So enjoy this picture for just a minute. She was showing me a rug. I'm going to switch to the next picture so you have something to do. She was showing me a rug on her phone that she had at home, like a rag rug from like Home Goods or TJ or Marshalls or one of those, and she undid it, right? So when she undid it, these pieces were in it. Hold on just a second. Tell me if this works, and if it doesn't, I'm so sorry. Okay, did you hear that? Not that I wanted you to, like I'm proud. I'm hoping you didn't hear that. So she undid the rag. Oh, better. She undid the rag, and she said she got the most beautiful strips, right? And they're already cut for you, all different materials. And she said, "Be careful with this." Good. Oh, I'm so glad. Good, good, good. So now I know I can run a show even when I'm not like 100% great. She said, when you want to do this, thanks, be sure to take a good look at your rug, because the rug that you're about to take apart, some of it really is just one material, like cotton. And nothing wrong with that if you like the look. But some of them are full blast crazy. Like they've got sari ribbon, they have got chiffon, they have got glitter, they have got knit, they have got everything in them. So let's look at how so these are the immediate pieces that she had on. Oh, you can see over the little rope. Um, she was separating them by color, and when you see her project, you'll understand why. But she pulled all of these out of one rug, and tons more. She separated them into lights and darks, and then she was working on a project with them that looks. Oh, almost. So this is one of the sheer pieces that she pulled out. Like, this is crazy. She said some of them she had to iron, right? Some of them you wouldn't want to iron. You might want to steam or just hang them in the shower. Hang them over the bar of the shower or on a towel rack in the shower when you take a shower, and maybe just let them steam so that they are easier to see and easier to work with and not so crinkled up. She's so pretty, Lynda. And she's got a whole bunch of her strips here, right? So these are some of her bright ones, bright dark ones that she pulled out of this rug. I mean, how nutty is this? What a great idea. Because you do see these rag rugs at stores. You see them like really inexpensively at stores. You see them at antique stores because they're not really antique, and vintage. I have one downstairs in the kids' room. So I'm going to do a video in the future, and I'm going to say Lynda's name about 1,000 times in it. So you know that this is her great idea, not mine. I'm going to remind you until it drives you nuts. But I want to be really clear that this is a great idea and this is Lynda's idea. But I would love to take apart my rug. It's downstairs under Teddy's feet, and he's constantly kicking it away because he's always warm. So I'm just going to take it and cut it up and see what strips I've got in there, because it's very clear that maybe I'll have him bring it up when he comes. That there's a lot of good stuff in there. Like, probably Lynda's is like the best one I've ever seen. This is what she's doing with her project. April says that's a great idea. There are some really neat pattern fabrics in there. All the colors should work together too without much thought. That's a great point, April, because they were working together great, right? So when you take them apart, they're still going to work together great. This is why Lynda was separating her darks and lights, because she's doing this sort of Amish log cabin pattern where half of it is in shadow and half of it's in light. So you want those to be separated at the get-go so you get this great effect. I think I had it a little bit closer too. Isn't that smart? Like, really, isn't that so smart? I'm looking at it too. It's just so many great patterns, different materials. Now, for people who, I know exactly, right, Karen? For people who like just very traditional hooking and like using your cutter and everything, this maybe isn't that appealing. But if you are more of a wild roughhouser and you love to pull anything thrifty and, old school, if you're an old school hooker and you just really love to cut up anything with a pair of scissors, this is going to be in your comfort zone. And this is going to be fun and exciting. And it's like hitting the jackpot, taking apart one rug like this and getting all of these colors out of it. I would love the Amish patterns for the worms. I love yeah, absolutely. Black Maggie Stitcher says, looks like a color theory project I did once. It really does, doesn't it, with the darks and the lights? It is like a study. It really is. And it's so cool that she had already separated or was in the process of separating darks and lights. So much fun. Pamela says, wow, sunshine and shadow pattern. Yes. Who would have thought to do that? Excellent project, using a rug. And when you go to TJ Maxx and whatever, you often see these rugs like they're already inexpensive, but they could be, a rug like this at TJ could be, for example, 30 or 40, which isn't, crazy in terms of material for rug hooking. But sometimes you even see them in the bargain aisle or on the end caps, on the end caps if something's like a little damaged or whatever, or dirty, they put it there. It's like, the dirtier the better. Mark it down. I'm going to pick it up off the end cap and bring it home because there's so much material in there. It's just crazy. Super brilliant, wild genius happening here. I absolutely love this project. I got all excited right walking through the door here. Now this piece is a different kind of excitement. I really, really loved this piece too. We're going to talk through this quite a bit. Hold on just a second. Let me have another drink. So this is a kind of a series. We're going to look at it close up as well. I'm going to leave it here for a second. Maybe stretch it just a hair so we can see it a little bit bigger because you got the feel for it. It's 3 different parts. Oh no, don't do this. Don't play. Don't play me. It's Friday, Murphy. Take a rest. All right, so we've got 3 different parts to it. And let's start. And I'm just going to say, starting at the top, right, we've got the old house, right, the old family house. And then in the middle, there's like a different house that's on a lake. And at the bottom, it is the current house, which is the same as the old house, but over the years it's been remodeled, right? So it looks like the bottom view now. Let me stretch this out a little bit more and let's look at this in incredible detail because it's an incredible piece. So Lynda, I was so lucky to be there, right? Because I got talked through this incredible family story. I think that on the top left, that's the shape is New Hampshire. Now, beautiful, beautiful, sort of mizzy-mazzy, sort of hit or miss grass here, right? Really beautiful grass color, light sky color, lots of dip dyeing. Look at the way the house is hooked. It's crazy how good this is. But even beyond the technical prowess that's represented in this piece, there's a bunch of family symbolism that's really important. Lynda said something about, I think her grandfather or great-grandfather. I feel like there was something about a World War II era propeller that is still at the house. And that's what the plane is representing. And the fact that the family used to have a milk delivery business, I think, and that's why there's a milk truck in it. And then there's also the curiosity of having that little speed sign that says 5. And she said that's because she found out in doing research, I think, that again, I feel like it was the grandfather, but it was certainly maybe not the grandfather, maybe it was further back, probably was much further back because it was probably the man who built this house. And this is like a 19th century house, so this would have been a lot further back. I'm not sure on the details of this story, but it was a fabulous story. But going back into records, she found out that this family member from way back when the speed limit, I guess, was 5, was the first person in the town to get a speeding ticket. So that was kind of cute. That was a distant relative. But so she put the little speed limit up of 5. So this is a view of the old house in the old days with the milk truck, with the plane, with the propeller, with the 5-mile-an-hour speeding limit. Absolutely precious. And this, I think, is more of a vacation scene. So this one in the middle is, again, completely a different house, but this looks like a vacation house, probably a family house that they go back to quite a bit. Oh, Karen says, I'm deconstructing one of my numerous but very holy husband's tie-dye t-shirts and finding the way it works when it's hooked. So interesting. That is, I'm going to hold on this for a second. That is really interesting. You just reminded me I had a bunch of videos to post. Remember, I recorded like 4 videos the day before yesterday, the day before I went to New Hampshire. And I needed Joss to edit them. And she edited most of them, so I'll have to post those after the show. One of them I was using, it reminded me of the first book where I use a lot of the kids' tie-dye t-shirts to do a closed granny square crocheting a rug, like a full-size rug out of their old tie-dye t-shirts from like all of the summers before. And in the video, I'm using the cakes that if you got the autumn advent calendar, you have a bunch of, I think you have 3 different cakes in there in autumn colors that are 3-plied, hand-dyed, Briggs & Little that I dyed. And my idea with those is to make like a table runner or something larger if you want, but a table runner like maybe for Thanksgiving or whatever, that's closed granny squares. So I'm actually doing a project in one of the videos that is not rug related. It can be if you make a crocheted rug, which people absolutely do, right? That's another form of rag. But that's what one of the videos is. You just reminded me of that. I'm going to have to get those videos up. I always say I accidentally said some bad words in them because I get so frustrated when I screw things up. So then I need my daughter to step in and fix all that for me so that doesn't go on YouTube, you know. Oh, Ruth, great to see you. Oh, good to see you. I was just thinking about you. I'm so glad you're there. I missed you. So great middle image here. Now let's go to the last image, which is like the contemporary image. And it is of the same house, but hang on. Yep, there we go. So many nice little touches here, right? So you see this sort of smoke coming out of the chimney with the year on it. Do you notice that? I think I have a close-up of it over here. Yeah, I do. Sorry, this picture was a little bit yellow. It must be. Oh, Allie, good to see you. 2007. I just thought this was so clever, the way that she did this with the smoke coming out like that. I thought that was so sweet. It's so subtle, you know. It's just absolutely beautiful, isn't it? Absolutely beautiful. And then there were little touches that, you know, you have to really be standing in front of it to really take in all of the little nuances, but like little flowers and things. It looks like a little bird bath. I mean, it's just so exquisite, so well done. Just an absolutely beautiful story rug and family rug at that. Just a beautiful piece. Another one of Lynda's pieces, very different from what we saw. She was saying that her husband, that he's a bit of a nerd, right? Which can happen, right? Opposites attract. Um, but she said he's very into space, the sky, planet. You know, what word am I looking for here? I'm not feeling 100%, so my brain is not firing at 100%. Sue's, great to see you. Hello in Kansas. This is a much different rug, you know, for her husband, like a subject that he's very fond of, looking at the planets in the sky with Earth in the center. Very different subject, really bold and beautiful. Like, it really is very pattern driven. The background pattern, this is the rug that would have to be really thought out, right, to get the planets to be present in such a way that the composition is pleasing, but then to show various aspects of the... Teddy, is that you? Various aspects of the planet, like the ring, obviously, of Saturn, the... Oh, boy, I hope they're not going to start fighting out there. Earth is very recognizable. Teddy!
I brought you.
You just did something to your sister, didn't you? I just heard her scream.
I thought you were in her room.
You want to come and say hi?
Mm.
There he is. There's my man. There's my man getting ready for... okay, calm down. Calm down. Getting ready for new school. Hey, can you do me a favor? Are you excited for your new school, Ted? Can you... Okay, stop. This is weekends. Can you do me a favor? Can you go down to your playroom? And you know that, like, purple rag rug that used to be under your chair that's now scrunched up under the other chair?
Yeah.
Can you bring that upstairs to me right now?
Mhm.
What a ham bone. You're getting a lot of highs from everybody. You want to say hi back when you come up with the rug.
Hello.
All right. And shut the door. Don't torment your sister.
Mickey Bruno.
Okay. There's a lot to be said for having kids when you're in your early 20s. I'll say that. Instead of your early 40s. I'll say that. We'll leave it at that. He's a good boy, without a doubt. So this is just another beautiful piece. It's an extraordinary subject. I would be so intimidated tackling a subject like this, but obviously Lynda is like fantastic. She's in a completely different category of hooking than I am. She's not intimidated by anything. And she seems to like things that are a challenge. Think back to the family, that sort of triptych of family houses, right? She likes things that are a challenge because she's that good. She needs a challenge, right? It's like having a greyhound or something that needs to really run. He'll like seeing everybody saying hi to him when he comes back. Hopefully he doesn't forget about the rug. Uh-oh. I think he might be approaching. It sounds like there's a caveman approaching, so I'm thinking it might be him. Nope, that's a quilt. But thank you. This is a rug, so can you bring that back down? And it's actually on the floor.
No, I put it on the...
Yeah, so the rug is on the floor.
Okay.
It's still a textile, isn't it? Oh my God. Oh my God. All right. He brought me up something. Let's see what this is. Oh, that's booze. Another great piece from Lynda. This is just... I'm going to show you this close up as well. This is another extraordinary piece. Lynda is very interested, I do too, Suze, in architectural details, right? She's like a master at framing stuff.
The rug.
There we go. Okay, there we go. Thanks, Ted. You want to come down and see all of that? Look at all the buddies who said hi to you. Isn't that nice? You get so much great support. Now shut the door and don't torment your sister on the way out. This is the rug. The other one was the quilt. The quilt is cute too. Let me show you that since it's right here. Since he didn't bring it back down, why would I think he would bring it back down, right? This is a quilt, a Sudoku quilt that their dad's aunt made. It's a quilt, right? But it's like a Sudoku board. Isn't that cool? That is cool. That is cool. But this is really what I wanted. Don't mind my leggings. Let me hold it back a little bit. This has been on the floor down there for a while. And I'm thinking that this could be the kind of rug that Lynda was using. Don't you think? It looks a little bit more limited, in terms of, well, there's like, this is like rope. I'll do a video with this later and give Lynda full credit. But yeah, there's some rope element, right? So all of the light rope you see, that's not so interesting for me. But here's some nice chiffon. And it might be that it's just alternating. I think it is. I think it might just be alternating chiffon and rope. So not nearly as interesting as Lynda's. But it still looks like there's some pretty cool fabric in there. So I'm going to have to think on that. I'm going to have to think about whether that's worth tearing apart. Most things are worth tearing apart, aren't they, really? It does have some cool colors, I have to say. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'll think on it. I'm going to think on it. Isn't that a Meatloaf song, something like that? I'll think on it. It is kind of cool. I like the way that the in-betweens are very sort of thready, too. I mean, this is a home goods job for sure. Now, that's going to make me cough and sneeze. All right, let's come back and look at this exquisite piece, right? The one with that architectural frame around it. Oh, very sort of classical composition, isn't it? Now, Scoletti, I believe, Lynda said, is a family name, right? So I'm thinking this is Italian. I'm thinking, I'm going to sneeze. Hang on. Have just a quick look at this. I'm going to do my thing. And it is stunning, isn't it? I'm going to make it larger. But this is a very realistic look through. This is like a forced view, isn't it? Thank you. Thank you. Exactly. That's exactly what I was up to. This is a forced view, almost like if you've been somewhere beautiful in Europe or Canada or somewhere that has, slightly older buildings than the U.S., even New England and the East Coast. Sometimes you get these incredible views out these small windows, and it's just countryside. It's just green equals beauty as far as the eye can see. It's one of those kinds of views. And when I stretch it out, hang on, it's doing its thing again. When I stretch it out, you will see. Now there's the planets up there. Hold on. Hopefully you can see a little bit better because your screen's different. I see a sundial in the bottom right, and I see the flagpole. So this is an American view, actually. This is an American view with a very classical frame around it. Why not? Right? Why not? But there's a little village, right? Under the hill, there's a little village. So I'm not sure. I feel like the land is not set in the U.S. I feel like this is like, I know some of her stuff is from Greece, and I feel like this is not. I feel like this is maybe Italy, Portugal, something like that. We're going to have to get some clarification. I took in so much in such a short time. It looks like there's some grapes hanging from the top. So that reminds me of Italy too. Some sort of plants creeping into the open window. It's just a beautiful frame. Oh, Diane, great to see you. Just a beautiful, unexpected landscape. It's very heavy on perspective, which is amazing because we're looking at three different things here, right? And I don't want to move away too fast from talking about how important and symbolic that village is, because she said that the little like light blocks that you're seeing, one of them I think was like a grandmother, great grandmother, a family house, right, within the village. So one of the houses absolutely represents like a family house in a place where the family lives and is from. So there's three things happening here. We have absolute realism within the landscape. It's a very realistic landscape. It's absolutely gorgeous. We're very strong on perspective, right? So very realistic in the center. And around the edge, it has this architectural kind of frame on it. So it's transposed with this framework, like stonework. Like, are you seeing this stonework being rug hooked in this manner? I mean, this is amazing. And the third element is, so there's patterning around the edge, which is very flat. Oh, You're on Karen's phone. Fantastic. So Karen says, it's Lynda again. It's the quarry. Thank you. It's the quarry in Redstone, New Hampshire, where your Italian grandfather cut stone. I forgot that part. I am so sorry. Thank you. That's just what we needed, just when we needed it. That is perfect. So it is the quarry. And I feel like maybe I should stretch it out again. I feel like the house that you pointed out to me was to the right of those little white houses. There's one more house at the intersection, isn't there? And that's your Italian grandfather's house, isn't it? I think. I think. So we've got this beautifully realistic view through this open frame, right? Like functioning as a window. And then we have the frame itself, which is much flatter, right? And it really resembles stonework. And then we have this, the third element is this three-dimensional creeping in of the plants growing outside, very trompe-l'oeil. And indeed, the stonework is very trompe-l'oeil, isn't it? Trompe-l'oeil means it tricks your eye. It does trick your eye. It looks like you're standing in front of a frame, and there is actually a three-dimensional plant creeping in toward you as you look out at this stunning view. And Lynda says, Mom grew up on one of the white houses, and the yellow is the that was it. The yellow one is the one-room schoolhouse that she went to. That was it. I knew one was different than the others. That obviously that makes perfect sense. Oh, that is so good. That is so good. So there are different things happening here, right? We've got like the scene is framed out with this very historical, very ornate framework, right? Super thoughtful, highly complicated, very technical, in absolute perfection, right? I just can't fathom doing something that is this astonishing. And then with the leaves coming in, it's just crazy how good this is. It's just crazy. It's a very unusual composition. It really draws your eye into the center, doesn't it? Let me catch up here. Robin's saying, that is just beautiful. Mom grew up in one of the, that she went to. Jackie says, not ripe, twisted fabric, not ripe, twisted fabric. I feel like I'm misreading that somehow, not ripe, twisted fabric. I bet I'm going to figure that out. I'm going to figure that out soon. And Lynda says, trompe-l'oeil is what I was going for. The grapes and grapevines represent my Italian heritage as well. You are so into symbolism. It's incredible. I think it's so, not rope. Okay. Not rope. Twisted fabric. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. All right. Not rope. Twisted fabric. Let me make this just a hair bigger. I think we're all deeply, deeply engrossed in this now. And then the family name, Scaletti, underneath. We're going to look at these others. Let me just make this, let's supersize us here. Let's see how supersized I could go. My camera's okay. Yeah, that's better. Oh, that's definitely better. Gosh, that's amazing. Just the composition itself is amazing. Look at the shadows on the sill. Isn't that crazy? The coloration is so subtle with those greeny golds. Yeah, it really is. I love the color. It is greeny gold. It's like that bronzy Cushing green, that bronze green color. So pretty, with a little bit of a poppy kind of color too, like golden, really, really pretty. The light on the hill, little outcroppings of stone, and then the rocks, right? Because this is the site of a quarry. Oh, it's very, very cool. I just love stonework. Is amazing. Isn't it, Wendy? Wendy, thank you so much for your email. That was so sweet. I got busy, and I was so glad that you wrote back and that I was right, that was your work from last week. I figured that was you. Hey, Lynda. I'm Greek, Spanish, and Italian. You got the holy trinity of crazy going on there, don't you? I love it. I love it. I love those Mediterranean countries. People are so passionate, and everything is so heartfelt and sincere, right? I love. My grandfather was like 100% Italian as well. And then the rest of the family is French Canadian. So that's a different kind of craziness comes in. It's just absolutely beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful. I'm going to move on, although I know that we could sit all day looking at this because it is a stellar piece. It is an absolutely stellar piece. And again, just the composition, right? Just the composition, that kind of, we talk about what works in composition. These Ys work, right? This is kind of a play on both of those kinds of shapes. Bringing your eye in with the flagpole, with the two rocks, the sundial, right? And Lynda, does the sundial have a special meaning? As it fits beautifully there. But it's such a piece of storytelling. I love the little row of trees. I love the shape going down toward the village where the houses are in the schoolhouse. Just simpler times, right? It's just beautiful, beautiful moment. Oh, I love you. It is a good crazy cocktail, that is for sure. Oh, there we go. I was stretching it out. I thought I had a larger picture of the stonework in the corner. So beautiful. So beautiful. And Lynda, how this is one of the rugs that you were kind of learning on, practicing new techniques and stuff, because it's not just the stonework, is it? It's the fact that the coloring of it, right? In the background, you've got the mix of the kind of browns, grays, and the yellowy marble color. But then on the higher relief part, which is the motif, the flower with the scrolls and the wrap, you've got you're using just the lighter colors, right? So it really stands out more, and you're using a much darker, what's probably close to a black or a black, that's making it look very, very raised, right? So it has the most incredible effect. You're not universally outlining or anything like that, because I can see clearly on the leaf that you have got very realistic brownish red colors shooting through the leaf, which is, everything looks very realistic. I mean, it really is a feat. And Lynda says the sundial and the rocks are the memorials in the middle of the town square. Fantastic. It's just fantastic. Oh yeah, now I see it even larger with lots of little colors, right, on that stonework, right? There's a lot more red than there seems to be, rust, right, than there seems to be at first glance. This is so thoughtful. It's crazy. I can't imagine doing this. It's so, it's realistic, but it also has a lot of creativity happening. It's not just technical. There's nothing wrong with technical, but it's not just technical. There's a lot of choices that have clearly happened along the way. I'm wondering how much pulling out you did, or if you just had a really clear vision and you're like, nope, this part's got to be dark, this part's got to be light, because I just can't fathom. I really can't. Jackie says, I watched a YouTube video on Amish rugs where they twisted the fabric strips. Oh, got you. Oh, yep, that's Amish toothbrush. That's Amish toothbrush. That's one of the chapters in my first book, too. I haven't done a video on that yet. I think I did, and I never put it up for some reason. I must have done something or said something wrong, that I never put that up. But yeah, Amish toothbrush is great. Amish toothbrush can look like a traditional braided rug, but it uses a little tool that originally was the back of a toothbrush that was just cut off, and then the whole of the toothbrush. Remember when toothbrushes had holes when they would hang or whatever? The whole of the toothbrush is what you thread your cotton strips or whatever kind of strips you have through. Very fun Amish toothbrush. Very, very fun. Oh, Lynda says it's granite. Lynda, I'll remember that you're on Karen's phone. There's a red and green granite that the quarry is known for. They also did the columns for the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C. Lynda, does it still look like this? Where this rug is set, for example, does it still look like that there, that village? Or is it quite different now? The only reason I'm asking is because it would be so cool to visit or to see some picture. You know what I mean? It's just so cool that piece, right? Just like the triptych of houses is so rooted in family history. It's just interesting to think about how much of it is still there. You can go, oh my God, there's the sundial, It's so interesting when something is thought out that well. It was a struggle for sure, but once you got it, it hooked quickly. Yeah. You are always pushing. I mean, your work shows that you're always pushing yourself to try very different things. And you must be the kind of person who is somewhat at peace with what will inevitably be a huge learning curve, right? When you're trying something new, you're doing something trompe l'oeil, right? You're doing something like one of the later ones we're going to see that has the tiles. You must be very comfortable knowing that you're going to get your chain pulled lots of times because it's hard learning something new. And even though it's pulling up loops, it's very different than pulling up loops on other styles of rug. You must just be very, you must have a very good threshold for saying to yourself, well, that didn't work. Maybe you insert words in there too. That didn't work. I'm going to try this instead. And that is an inspiration because I know for myself, when I'm trying to do something that's a little bit different, I'm not going to say the things that I would say, right? I'm not going to reenact, but I get very frustrated. I get very frustrated. And I often destroy whatever I'm working on. I just rip everything out. And I'm never like, I never handle things like a grown up, right? I never handle things well. I'm positive or go, oh, that was a good learning experience. But you seem like you're way better at that because you just keep going from project to project to project. Like choosing really difficult things to focus in on and then executing them perfectly. It's just I marvel at that. Lynda, it was a struggle. And then Lynda said, yeah, looks the same. The place looks the same. You can visit and tour the quarry. No way, can you? It is a great hike. If anyone ever goes to North Conway, New Hampshire, you know where we're going in 2 weeks is up to Santa's Village, and we're staying in North Conway. So you have to give me the info for that, please. I would really like to know. Oh, Jackie, that's a great question. What size is it, Lynda? What size roughly is that piece? Something like 20, 22, maybe a little bit bigger, maybe 20. I'll let you say what the size is. Yeah, I'd really like to know where that is. I'd love to check that out. That would be super, super fun. And then when we got to this piece, this is another one of Lynda's pieces. She said, you know, I did some pieces with very high difficulty levels, and I also like to do stuff that is more fun. This is not less. This is not. I was going to say this is not easier, but it might be easier in terms of technique and without the realism, right? Everything is a little bit easier. Just a shift of style. It's apples and oranges. It's not less. It's not necessarily easier. It's just a shift of styles. Lynda says the piece is about 27 by 46. That's bigger than I thought. Yeah, no, that sounds right. That sounds right. The large size was quite, the large side was quite large. I think you're probably right. And what cut was it? Like what cut, Lynda, was it mostly the same cut or doesn't matter. I'm not going to drill in too deep, but it's an amazing piece. I love this. I love this too. I mean, again, apples and everything is apples and oranges. I love to see a variety of different kinds of work and styles of work coming from the same person. And Lynda's feeling that she expressed when we were standing next to each other was like, sometimes I like to do things that are hard. Sometimes I like to do things that are just more fun, more graphic, more colorful, less realistic, less heavy, right? Less heavy. What backing? Lynda, do you always use linen? Yeah, please send the info. Yeah, really, really linen. Yeah, linen. Really beautiful. And again, so much going on here with color, giant pops of color, great storytelling with these flowers. It is something like a still life, but it is more than a still life with all of the color change in the background. Is that a braided border around the edge? I'll open it up in just a second. I'll probably stay with you for another 10 minutes and then I might go downstairs. I'm struggling a little bit with my voice. Holy mackerel. Let's see. We'll play it by ear. I love the hit or miss feel to both the leaves and the background. And I love the fact that there are some parts of this composition that are executed in a hit or miss style. And then there are some parts that are not, like the shading on these really electric looking flowers, right? Yellow to chartreuse to lime green, the fiery reds going out to oranges and the tips of the petals. Lynda did cuts number 4, 5, and 6 into linen. Beautiful. They're all beautiful pieces. Let me just stretch this one out to see. Oops, I did it again. to see. It's really not me. It's the program that doesn't let me grab the slide I'm after. I always get there in the end, though. Oh, no, it's hooked. It looked braided. No, it's hooked. It's that nice mossy. Oh, it's the same color as the stems. Very mossy and pretty. Really beautiful. I'm seeing also with it looking, the larger view, that there are some patterned wools in here. The centers of the flowers, I'm seeing wools that have some patterning on them. Gosh, that's pretty. I really love it. I really love it. Again, this reminds me of the dress on the woman that we saw earlier. And remember how I said in that slide, it's each person is different, right? God bless it. Whatever you like is what you should do. Always. I really like it when you see a repeat of something, right? Like a multiple. And it's irregular, like the woman's dress. Remember how at the beginning of the episode I said, I like how the sunflowers, it doesn't look like it's actually fabric because they would be perfectly measured and distant from each other. I like how it had this organic flow like her body. And it's the same with this still life, right? Whether it's a landscape or a still life, it's a collection of flowers. It functions as a composition of multiples. It's multiple flowers. And they are spaced very irregularly like the woman's dress. Really interesting. And Jackie says, is this wool fabric or knitted yarn? I think this is all, obviously I defer to Lynda, but I think Jackie, this is all wool strips. So this is wool that's been dyed and cut into strips, probably with a machine, although you can also cut it with your scissors or your rotary cutter, and then hooked as strips. So when you hook wool strips, it comes up like a little skinny rectangle because it's like a flat strip. Whereas when you hook with yarn, it comes up like a little dit dot. You know what I mean? On top, like you just see the top of the loop and it's just a little dit dot. So when we see this kind of rectangular look to all of the loops, it's typically wool strips, but you can do either one. You can absolutely do either one. So, so pretty. Let's see what the next one is. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Oh, Lynda, this is your favorite, isn't it? Lynda, if you can, and I know that you're on the phone, I know you're on Karen's phone, if you can tell me anything extra about the cards. We talked about the cards. I remember this is your favorite piece, and you always have this displayed for yourself to see. And it is like a collection of cards. It does have that Rainbow Pride feel to it, vibe to it. But it is a great, Judy, right? Judy, oh, it is a great composition. And you know what this reminds me of? Hold on one second. I'm just going to have a drink. Oh, yeah. That's my medicine right there. You know what this reminds me of? I bring this up all the time because it's one of my favorite things in the sort of rug hooking world. All woolen fabric and cut. And Lynda, sometimes you do cut with your scissors, right? You do cut with a machine, but you often cut with your scissors too, right? When you're going wild and crazy style. This playing card piece reminds me of, from Pearl McGowan's book, The Dreams Beneath Design, right? That she talks about using a postcard, right? I say this all the time, and moving it around the backing fabric, tracing it to create a pattern. Not like this, right? She did it in a very geometric pattern, right? Like kind of a spin on a log cabin or courthouse steps, if you will, if you're a quilter. But this is very, very different. This is a much more modern spin on a playing card composition because the playing card changes direction, almost like a flower, but it also changes size, right? But it does have a repeat pattern. What stays the same? The shape. What changes? The scale and the color, right? So that's interesting. It's the opposite of like a dollar bill that's always green and always the same size, right? This has a lot of play and a lot of That's right. You said this was a Zentangle pattern. Absolute. This is a great idea. And you know Zentangle is a brand name. I'll just add that. It's like meditative doodling, right? It's much more formal and official than that at this moment. There are people who are trained to teach Zentangle. I believe it's a pattern called Exploding Cards. Okay, amazing. amazing. And it is, I'm sure that it was made in exactly the same way of just tracing something and pushing it around. Great pattern. And it does read for me also as a flower, right? It's very modern. It's very colorful. I love the shading. It really glows, right? It does have that rainbow feel, but it also has such a glow to it. And I love just seeing the whole card in the center there, right? The character card. It looks like the classic, like Queen's Head playing cards. Really pretty. Tommy said it looks like an explosion. There, it is, right? You said the right word. It is like an explosion, exploding cards. It's really beautiful. You know, it's playful. It's colorful. It's playful. It has a lot of movement. It's a lot of fun. It's just a lot of fun. It's very different yet again. Every piece that we move to is very different, including this sweet buddy. This is very different, right? Pet portrait. And, you know, we see a lot of pet portraits in rug hooking, but I gotta say, this is one of the best ones I have ever seen. Ever, 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 ever. It's none of it is distorted in any way. The dog looks absolutely perfect. Sweet eyes, right? Sweet big eyes, beautiful. It's so artful, isn't it? It's so artsy. It's like beyond, you know, the background is that grassy green color, but it's not done as grass. It's done in this great, like classic rug hooking fill, right? Sort of marble cake look in the background. Absolutely beautiful. Colors great. Great complement to the dog's color. Great expression. Perfect shadows. More graphic, right? Shading. Then it's super realistic, but it does have a strong graphic edge to it. My personal favorite. I love I mean, there's such complicated things you're doing here with the dark tones, the dark sort of muzzle. Do you say muzzle, like the mouth part? And then the caramel colors, the more red colors, and then down under the dog's chin, you get the more of a chocolate, right? It goes into a cooler brown than like the caramel. So lots of different colors of brown here. And I would be completely sort of bamboozled with trying to figure out where the best color, you know, which warm, cool. This is just not my forte at all. This is extraordinary. This is just extraordinary. Beautiful piece, beautiful tribute to the dog. I also love how there's so much emotion. That is a great thing, Lynda. That's a great comment. So much emotion in the dog's eyes and the dog's face. I love how the dog is off center. Like, you know, I love the perspective because there's a bit of storytelling in that too. That the dog's face is right in the center. It's not like a portrait of a dog because there's too much negative space, like background space above the dog, right? For the dog to be like smack dab in the center like a pet portrait. The dog is a little bit lower, and that seems a little bit softer to me. You know, like usually looking at the dog from above and you're higher and the dog is a little bit lower. It seems so fitting to me that the dog would be a little bit lower within the frame of this piece in terms of composition. It makes sense. It's a very soft, very personal handling of a dog that's obviously a great friend, very special, a lot of love here. But I like that the dog is set a little bit lower. It's not like, boom, here's the dog. It's like, it's the view of the dog that you would have seen 1,000,010 times, right? Very, very sweet. Lynda said, I'm going to have to pack up and head home from the fair tonight. I will catch the rest of this on the replay. I was so happy to meet you yesterday. Oh my God. I was so happy to meet you too. I can't wait to get together again and have some fun. We'll blast it out next time we're together. Super, super fun. I'm just going to probably do a couple more slides. I'm going to actually attempt to, because I'm crazy, finish some dyeing tonight. Because tomorrow I'm going to Providence with Joss for her birthday. So I'm going to hope to finish some dyeing tonight. And then I think I'm going to either croak or maybe lay in bed and survive. Maybe I'll make it, you know. But I'll do a couple more slides regardless. Now, this is one of Kathy's, and this is one of my patterns. This is the pattern, ribbon candy hooking pattern this was really high up, I have to say. I'm like 5'1", 5'2", so I'm quite small. This was really high up. This pattern is one of my patterns, and it's called Counting Sheep. I absolutely love this pattern. And I love the adaptation that Kathy made. If you see, there are, I can't remember if there's 12 or so sheep in here, but there's a dog in here too. She's changed one of the sheep on the far left into a dog, which is so perfect. I love it when things, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. It was a little bit dark. My photo was dark, not the piece. Teddy, shut your door, hun. We don't want to hear his conversation with Michael, that's for sure. Okay, there we go. That's not too bad. I just love how this is done. This looks absolutely fantastic. I love that swap out of the pup. I love the colors in the sky, the movement in the sky. It's very impressionistic. I love the colors of the darkest sheep. That is a patterned wool for sure. The color variation in those small patches of flowers, right? The house is beautifully executed too, because it's fairly small within the composition, and the fence, just it's absolutely beautiful. You know, I haven't finished mine yet, so when I'm looking at yours, I'm thinking, oh, I really screwed up some of the aspects of mine. I really like the way that this is done. I just love the colors. I just love them. It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous piece. I was so excited when I saw it. I love to see things. I love to see things that are done that are ribbon candy hooking things. I feel like I'm, you know, that I exist, and I love to see things that are beautiful that are made out of a piece of linen that I put in the mail. Right? It's very exciting and gratifying. What you did is magic, Kathy. What you did is magic. This isn't me. This is you. The sky is just crazy, isn't it? Just absolutely crazy. It's so good. It's so good. I just love this. I love that piece more than ever. This is another one of your beautiful pieces. This one was hanging high up as well, but I think I got a decent photo. It's a great, I don't want to say companion, because it's not like a companion to counting sheep. They're both completely different. This is not my pattern, but they go really well together because it's another long skinny composition with sheep in it. And they were hanging near each other, and I thought, God, that looks so pretty. So pretty, with kind of wild water breaking on this man-made wall. And then the sheep safely tucked just behind, right? Happy, nibbling away in a field of flowers. Really beautiful landscape. Beautiful, colorful buildings on the left. It has a vacation or resort feel to it. But I just love the drama, the theater, and looking at that water crashing while the sheep are just very softly, quietly, barely moving, safe, and just nibbling away, right? There's a lot of drama there. Beautiful, beautiful piece. I just love it. This is Kathy's piece as well. Just love it. Oh, this is another gorgeous piece. And, you know, I might stop here because I could definitely use help with going through them, because I'm never going to read the tags. And I want to be able to, if Kathy's able to, I'm not sure if Kathy's still on. If Kathy and Lynda are able to help with saying whose piece it was, I'd love to be able to say whose piece this is. This is like a bell pull kind of a shape, isn't it? Beautiful floral piece. I would say Jacobean, because we see a lot of Promogown bell pulls, but this is not Jacobean. This is way more Art Nouveau, without a doubt, right? The dark background, those kinds of Alphonse Mucha drooping flowers, like the petaled flowers, like black-eyed daisies. The multicolored leaf, very Baroque, very ornate, curling in. The feeling of the dip dyed and the color changing fabrics in here is profound. And the very light leaves, again, the small peachy pinky leaves, you see? Oh, the dog is the dog is our Dublin, a Great Pyrenees. That's a big dog. That's a big, absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Kathy. Diane Mathis. Absolutely beautiful. I love how dark it is. I think my camera was taking pictures that were a little dark, because do you remember how bright it was right outside the door, right on the same wall, you know? I love these little wire hangers too. I was going to do a video of showing you how to make these little wire hangers. We still have to do that. Let's do that maybe in November. That'll be a fun project for us. We can hang some little stuff up and gifts and stuff. But I just love the play of these warm colors against the dark, and then the introduction of these the smallest little ones, right, with so much to say, adding so much. It's like a song, You know, this feels, looking at this feels like listening to a song to me. There's just such a balance between these very rosy, lamplit kind of colors, this very warm color palette, and then these very small, bright leaves making the poison effect in it, which is a good thing, which is what you want. Down at the bottom, right? Oh, look at that leaf down at the bottom. That reminds me of like Russian, like the ballet russe, right? Like all those crazy Diaghilev costumes, like all of the patterning, very, very early 20th century. So beautiful. And it is a Jacobean composition in that this very sort of Dr. Seuss and unrealistic plant is rooted on this tiny mound, like a Jack and the Beanstalk kind of a composition. Just absolutely beautiful. These little wisps of curling vines, right? These little bits of greenery, this brighter color, bright leaf here and there, little clusters of same colored small leaves sprouting up among these larger, right? Larger, very, very whimsical, romantic plants. They all look like fictional type flowers and leaves. It's absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Let's look at a couple more. Oh, so this was part of the full display. I took some texture shots to show you, as if you were walking there, you know. Kathy, do you remember, Kathy, were you sitting at this station? Was this where your station, where you were sitting? You know, I think it was your station. Oh, I think I'm losing my voice too. So many beautiful rugs, Ruth, right? And April, you love the detail of the leaves. I do too. It's just crazy. I'm going to end on this slide because I feel like my voice is also giving up. COVID negative. I just want to remind you. I've just had some very, very long days. Kathy, this was your station. This is so beautiful. Now, Kathy, what about, so the rug on the frame is yours. You're working on this gorgeous rug that's on the frame. And the two that are up on the wall, do you remember who those are? I'm going to stretch them out in a minute. Let's look at the piece that you're working on here. It is a absolute jewel. Oh, I love this pattern. I love this pattern. Kathy, you really like primitive stuff, don't you? You have so much stuff that, do you typically do a wide cut, Kathy? I love your stuff as well. We were, you know, Lynda was the featured artist, so we looked at a whole bunch at once. But I want to look at everybody. They're both my pieces on the wall. Fantastic. And your piece on the frame. Just love, I can't wait to see this, right? When you I'm loving it now, and when you finish it, I'm going to love it even more. But it's just a beautiful primitive pattern. I'm just catching up on the thread here. Absolutely stunning. And then these are your pieces. Bless this house. Absolutely perfect. That is so sweet. Now, Kathy, is that like a stair tread shape, that kind of size? That is so pretty, so charming. And then the one above it, right, very, very fancy. This is one of these like Eastern style rugs, right? Pearl McGowan called these ethnic rugs. And if it is a Pearl McGowan pattern, they were usually made up of motifs that didn't actually exist in the East, right? They were sort of remembered motifs from vacations. Because I have it cropped, I'm wondering if that gold bar is on both sides or if it's more like a prayer rug configuration where it's different from one side to the next. It's just, I probably have another, let me see if I have another photo of that. Absolutely beautiful piece. There we go. There we go. So it is balanced. So not a prayer rug, right? It would be different from side to side if it were. Absolutely beautiful. I love the flavor of it, right? That spicy flavor of it. It does have this great Eastern feel to it, but it's different, right? It's a bit more whimsical. You wouldn't mistake it for, like, for lack of a better term, right, Oriental rug. It is much more colorful and thoughtful for me with the kind of honey mustard colors and the goldenrod colors, and then the great pops of turquoise, the very heavy black, but then we're also seeing white in the same composition. We're seeing a beautiful border, right, that goes black, that mustard color, and then the red color. It's a very warm, kind of a tomato red, like more of an Egyptian kind of a red. Really, really, really beautiful. A lot of textured wool in here too, not textured, but patterned wool, right? Lots of color changes I'm seeing here. It really is striking. It's so striking. I tend to not see it's the small frost. Oh, of course, I remember you talking about this. It is the small frost, isn't it? So even more so so this is a pattern by Edward Sands Frost, right? So this dates even earlier. This is like a 19th century pattern. And most of Frost's patterns were copied by or borrowed also by Garrett Bluenose and vice versa. Right, so we see a lot of trading and borrowing of motifs, copyright not in place at that time. This is a frost, which makes it very, very special because the frosts are hard to pin down. And this is the one that's called, I think, small Oriental. I feel like that's the actual name, but absolutely beautiful. And for Frost, even more than for somebody like Prim, who did travel to Japan and did travel to the East, Frost would not have at all, right? So his idea of what motifs were used in an Oriental rug were based on memory and rugs that he had seen in people's houses that were imported, maybe his own house too. But he wouldn't have a vast sort of encyclopedic uh, grip on what motifs looked like. And for that reason, if you look at the central motif, it's very, very simple, right? It almost looks like Morse code or Braille or something like that. Very, very simple. And then it goes out to this organic um, snowflake kind of a design that at first glance it's like, oh, that could read as an Eastern Oriental rug design, but it's really not, is it? And he's trying to adapt scrolls in the pattern that look like they might be Oriental, but scrolls are not Oriental. So it's an interesting piece. It's a great pattern. It's a lot of fun because this is part of the history of rug design, right? This era when rugs that were imported from the East were a commodity. I mean, they were so expensive; it was priced, prohibitively to normal people, and as a result, other people would like covet them and be aware of them, but not have any sort of knowledge as to what the meaning or the symbolism in the rugs are. Very few people, in the 19th century or early 20th century even would have any kind of working knowledge of what an actual Oriental rug looked like and what the motifs meant and where the motifs were native to, right? It just wasn't part of life until people later in the 1920s and 30s started writing these comprehensive books about patterns in Oriental rugs. But until that happened, it was just a case of your eye sees one, takes a picture, and goes, "Oh, that's nice. I think I know the colors, and I think I remember some of the patterns." Close is good enough. And that's why I really like rugs from this era that are rug hooking patterns because they have this elusive charm. And it's much harder to try to remember something or do something in the style of than it is to actually see a rug and copy it, right? That's easy. That's easy. But to try to remember, like, oh, I know the shapes are swirly because he doesn't I don't think have any paisleys in this rug. No paisleys. Um, the red petals are bordering on paisleys on the small flowers. Just curious. And then on the corners, right, the yellow circles with like the blue triangles. So cool. So cool. And the interior where the gold bars are, it is a cut off, right? There is a cut off of design. And that is much more Victorian than anything else, right? Those the two gold panel parts that are just a cut off rectangle, that is exactly the kind of decoration that you would see on the frontispiece of a book or a cover of a book or even on sheet music, right? Anything like that, you would see those heavily Baroque etched patterns printed everywhere. So it's just such a cool piece. It's such a, I would love to find a small, that the same small frost and hook it. I would love to have that just down on the floor for fun because it's like a piece of fiction, isn't it? It's like a piece of fiction. I'm holding up my snot rag here. It's a piece of fiction. It's so cool. So much fun. I'm going to end a little bit early and I'm going to go back down there and finish. I have to dye 3 more quarter yards tonight and then I'll feel satisfied that I wasn't completely slacking. But man, it was a fun day yesterday. I had so much fun. I had so much fun being there. Sometimes I go to things and it's kind of like, okay, snap pictures. Good, got that done. Good content, great, let's go. But yesterday was one of these days that I just felt so happy to be there with this group of people. I felt so welcome. I felt so happy. I felt so relaxed, like I could be myself. And I nobody was putting me on the spot. Nobody was making me feel like I had entered a coven of witches, right? So it was just a great day. It was a really, really happy day. Um, yeah, it was such a lot of fun, and we'll cover more of it. We have so much more. I mean, I have worked my way like 3 feet up the aisle at this point. At the end of an almost 2 hour episode, I've worked my way up about, like, honestly, like 5 feet. We have a lot more to do to look at, looking at the rug division, and I want to look at the braided rugs. There was a multi-strand. There were some other interesting entries into the braided rugs. I want to look at all of the other sort of disciplines that were there as well. And later in the week, I'll probably take you to the Big E, where I went at the end of the day to look at those rugs that I judged a little bit earlier in the summer. Not many, but they were also beautiful and just very, very different. So we have a lot to look forward to later in the week. Let me catch up. Oh, April says, thanks, Deanna, for sharing. These really neat. That's the thing, isn't it? That's the thing is I'm spreading myself a little bit thin right now. That was not a case of spreading myself thin. I planned to be there and I wanted to be there, and there's nothing that was going to stop me from being there. I'm a little bit worn out lately because of all my stupid health problems and everything, and just I'm a little bit worn down, but there was no way I was going to, unless my head was hanging on by a thread, there was no way I was going to miss that. So it was a pleasure to go. It wasn't something on my checklist by any means. But I do feel like I want to get to so many things because I want to share them all, right? We're never going to have a comprehensive record of all of the great things that happened this year. And that is like one of the thoughts that just makes me sad, that there's so many great things going on just within the rug world. And we can't even among us at this moment record them all. But we can record as many as we can. And if you're going out and you're going to your fairs and you're seeing there's just 1 or 2 rugs hanging, please take a photograph so that I can share them on one of our nights or in one of our shows, and we can look at them too. We want to celebrate everybody's work, right? New rugs, old rugs. We want to celebrate everybody's work. So I'm trying to get to as many places as I can to record as much as I can. And if you all do the same, we'll have as much to look at as we can. Next year is a different story. There'll be more of us next year. Maybe we get even more rugs to look at, more fairs to go to, and all of that. Cass says, have a nice weekend at Waterfire. I hope I can take you there one day, Cass. It's so much fun. And I will say happy birthday to Jocelyn from all of you. Oh, Kathy, it was so great being with you. I just loved all of you, really. I can't wait to go back. And in fact, I will go back. Oh, I forgot to say, I will go back. Grace Collette was there, like one of my great idols. Grace Collette was there. And we were talking, and she asked me to come speak in York, Maine. I'll give you the details. I'll give you the place details another time because I misspelled everything. But on Wednesday, October 18th in York, Maine. So I'll ask her what that group is and if it's an open event or not, because I haven't asked that yet. But I'm not even going to tell you the program I'm going to do there because I don't want to get you all wound up. But it's going to be a very, very, very good. It's going to be a very good program. I hope I can do more often in the future. And good to see you, beautiful rug show. Thank you. I'm going to take it a little bit easy as soon as I finish my projects tonight. Pamela, fabulous show tonight. I really enjoyed seeing the beautiful rugs in Deerfield. Deerfield, New Hampshire, man. That's one I'm going to be at next year as well. I mean, I'm going to go visit again next year. That was incredibly pretty, vast. I'm not going to try to fit the Big E in on the same day either. So I will take care of myself, and hopefully we'll have a good day tomorrow. I will let you know how it goes in Providence. I'll take pictures of anything interesting that I see along the way. And yeah, and I will wish Hamburger Head a very happy birthday from all of you, entering the double digits with a hamburger on her head. I will see you all on Monday for coffee time at noon Eastern Standard Time. Happy weekend, everybody.